and the municipality where you're from for the record. I would note that prior to today's meeting, our chief clerk received some public comment, and our commissioners also received a separate public comment. All of those are available and will be made part of the minutes. If anyone would like those, you can contact our chief clerk for a copy of them.
Hello, my name's Eddie Confer. I'm from Latrobe. Recently, we have been hearing the term political theater. The protesters in Portland, and more recently, the No Kings protesters, were said to be engaging in political theater. I'm here today to speak on behalf of Sheila Confer. Sheila, like many citizens who work, cannot be attending these meetings. At this hour, she is actually teaching a theater course at UPG. I'll share her words. Commissioners Chu and Curtis, when you each on separate occasions recently called civic engagement political theater, you may not have realized how right you were and how proud that should make all of us. Western theater was born as civic engagement in ancient Greece. Citizens gathered in amphitheaters, not just to be entertained, but to wrestle with the most pressing questions of justice, morality, and governance. Playwrights like Sophocles and Euripides used the stage to explore war, corruption, leadership, and democracy itself. Attending these plays was not a pastime, it was a public duty. Those citizens sat shoulder to shoulder, hearing stories that challenged them, provoked them, and demanded that they reflect on their shared responsibilities. Greek tragedy gave us the vocabulary of understanding power and consequence. Comedy gave us the courage to laugh at those in authority. And through both, theater became the heartbeat of the polis, the very word for which we get politics. So yes, showing up at public meetings, asking questions, holding leaders accountable, telling stories that matter, it is political theater. And that is a good thing. Democracy is not meant to be silent, invisible, or passive. It is meant to be seen, heard, and yes, sometimes performed. When citizens engage passionately, they are carrying forward a tradition thousands of years old, a tradition that insists the public square is not just calling civic participation political theater is not an insult. It is a reminder that we are doing what free people are supposed to do. Take the stage, speak our lines, and be part of the drama of self-government. Commissioners, we are not here to put on a show. We are here to keep democracy alive. Thank you. Sheila Confer, Westmoreland County, engaged citizen and professor of theater.
I'm talking to you, not to them, so I want to look at you while I do this. Helen Sittler, I'm from Ligonier. As president of the Democratic Women of Westmoreland, I want to respond to the idea about political theater. We had one history lesson, I have a couple others. Our group was chartered in December 2007 as a chapter of the Pennsylvania Federation of Democratic Women. At Democratic Committee meetings, one of our founders has said, the women had grown tired of the men not listening to them. Now, 18 years later, there are more women in leadership in Westmoreland County, but some men still aren't listening very well. Which brings me to some other history. It's hard to imagine looking at us today, and here's the part where I say I graduated from high school in 1970. My friends are around that same year, a couple earlier, a couple later. So it's hard to imagine that we're the generation who put on our miniskirts to carry our peace signs. We watched our brothers and boyfriends and classmates drafted to Vietnam. We saw our peers gunned down by the National Guard at Kent State. Some of our mothers stayed in abusive marriages because they were financially dependent on the abuser. We are the first generation of married women who could get a credit card or a loan without a man's signature. So if anyone thinks we're going to sit quietly in a corner, they don't know us very well. We come to these meetings because citizens depend on you. You commissioners are our front line of defense when irrationalities spill out of Harrisburg or DC. We know you can't control Congress or the state legislature, but their actions plunge you into the realities that they create. Right now you're in the thick of it, and we know that on November 1st your jobs will be even more fraught. We stood here for months and expressed worry about health care, housing, food, voting rights, clean air and water. We asked that you plan ahead so residents of our county could weather whatever came. Now we're in it, and the prospects of hunger, loss of health care, loss of housing are frightening. Those issues are on your desks now, along with the new specter of political violence. You might find us less annoying if you think of us as your personal canaries in the mine. We've been around a while, decades longer than any of you, and can recognize warning signs. We're a pretty good alert system. So I ask that you use our questions and comments as signals to attend to, and then to be innovative in problem solving. Thanks.
Is there anybody else?
Yep, I guess that's me.
That was amazing.
I'm gonna have to go back and forth. So my name's Mike Partis. I'm a resident of Penn Township and the chair of the Norwin Penn Trafford Area Democrats. And I'm here today because we recently witnessed political violence on October 18th at an otherwise peaceful rally for no kings, no authoritarians, no fascists ruling our country. Unfortunately, one of the members of the crew, Karen Prim, was assaulted, had to be taken to the hospital, treated, and fortunately was released without significant injury. At the October 21st commissioners meeting, Karen asked that a resolution be passed. Hopefully they didn't do it already. That a resolution be passed by the commissioners formally rejecting political violence in all its forms. Now maybe I missed it, maybe that was passed. It's possible, I was running a little bit late. But Commissioner Kopis, I believe you offered a resolution that was rejected by Commissioners Curtis and Chu. Now, I've had people ask, do you condone political violence? It's an obvious question. I tell them, no, I don't think so. I think the pregnant question is, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? The people in this room, the people you represent, they're not all Republicans. Everybody at that rally was not a Democrat. There were Republicans, there were independents, there were families. There was a woman who was attacked by someone who thought political violence was acceptable. And yet you're afraid to call it out, whether it's Charlie Kirk or Karen Prim. Mm-hmm. So my question is, what are you afraid of? Thank you.
It's working. My name's Elizabeth Veronica Weaver. I'm a lifelong resident of Westmoreland County and a 34-year resident of Hemphill Township. I was at the No Kings rally and I didn't see everything that happened, but I was close enough to see part of the scuffle and that the ambulance come and the police come and that the perpetrator of this act was taken away. After becoming the nation is at a turning point and it's up to all of us to reject violence of any kind toward anyone The right to free speech for all Americans, whether we agree with them or not, is guaranteed by the First Amendment, an amendment just as sacred to democracy as any other in the Bill of Rights. No one was attempting to stop this gentleman from expressing his views. Violence from either side of the aisle cannot be tolerated. Unfortunately, the acts of physical violence are escalating across the nation over the past several years and seem to be disproportionately coming from the Republican Party. It is incumbent that the commissioners, Curtis and Chu, as public servants and community leaders, take a firm stand in rejecting these vile acts, regardless of who the perpetrators are. I have absolutely no doubt that had this act been committed by one of the No Kings protesters, the consequences would likely have been more severe and could have resulted in more injuries. From his rhetoric, President Trump was hoping for rioting on October 18th. What he got was over 7 million people peacefully protesting with virtually no reportable acts of violence. That is something that was truly remarkable and that everyone who participated on that day should be proud of. This is what democracy looks like, and you, commissioners, should be supporting it. Thank you. Anybody else?
All right, hi, my name is Abby Rampartis. I live in Murraysville, Pennsylvania. First, I would like to say to Commissioners Curtis and Chu that I appreciate your willingness to meet with me to talk about government transparency, as I already have with Commissioner Kopis. I still feel that live streaming and archiving these meetings online is a simple and basic request. It's the bare minimum for democracy. And you both have finally told me, no, this will never happen, which I also appreciate, and it's better than being ignored. I hope that we can work together on other ways to make your work as commissioners more accessible to your constituents. That said, I am disappointed that Commissioners Curtis and Chu called public meeting comments political theater. It takes a great deal of bravery for concerned citizens to stand in front of politicians and express their concerns. For you to think that anyone is getting their 15 minutes of fame from these 3 minutes here is absolutely absurd. The amount of self-importance behind that phrase is astounding. I do not want to be here. I am so tired today and I have so many things to do. But I think it's really important that you listen to us. One of your constituents was a victim of political violence at a peaceful event at this very courthouse. And you yourselves have politicized it, which does make that political theater. You've wasted $40,000 of the county's money at this point on paper ballots to put on a show for your MAGA base. That is also political theater. And if every person in this county wanted to stand up here and comment in all the ways that you find unacceptable, you still owe them those 3 minutes because they are your constituents. And if you don't want to hear your constituents, perhaps you should not run again. Thank you all. Also, we're having a food drive in Jeanette on Saturday. You can drop off and pick up food. Thank you.
Good morning, members of the audience, county commissioners. My name is Asher Anzetti. I'm chairwoman of Clear Westmoreland and a resident of Greensburg. On October 18th, a proud member of this community, Karen Prin, was attacked by a Republican, by a MAGA Republican, Doug and Sean's constituents, their brand. At the October 21st election board meeting, Sean Curtis said, no act of retaliation or violence should ever happen. He then further went on to say, it's common sense you don't hurt anyone for their political beliefs. Doug Chu agreed, but the moment a mention of a resolution or a statement condemning this publicly came forth, Doug Chu especially gave a look of absolute disgust. Not just mild indifference, absolute disgust. Those words are right. I will give credit to Sean for saying those words. But when it comes time to act, to support a simple resolution condemning political violence, both refused. That silence speaks louder than any statement. I was recently a victim of political violence myself. As many of you know, I stand on the corner every day now from 4:15 to 6:15. I simply hold a sign. I sit there with a comrade that will remain unnamed for their safety. I will usually show up in the trans rights or human rights t-shirt and a skirt, proudly displaying my community. I was told that I would be shot, that I would be 6 feet under, that I would have the police called on me and deported. And this happened repeatedly for at least a half an hour. I was threatened with violence. I was told that I should fight the man that was saying this. Meanwhile, I'm just sitting there trying to ignore him, doing my best to simply eat a bag of Funyuns and drink a Diet Dr. Pepper. Unfortunately, the police came a little too late, just as they did in the case of Karen. But the victim, Karen, and myself shouldn't have to worry about this. A simple statement by the county commissioners would be more than enough. Violence, whether it's Republican against Democrat, Democrat against Republican, or anyone against anyone, has no place in Greensburg, in Westmoreland County, in Pennsylvania, in the United States of America, of all places, the supposed land of the free and the brave. As I understand it, there is a resolution regarding the recent violence on the agenda, tailored to be voted upon at the very end of the meeting. I urge every leader in this room to match words with action, to condemn political violence wherever it appears, and to protect every resident's right to safety and participation in civil life. I can only hope and pray to my gods that this resolution is not watered down and ineffectual. Thank you.
My name is Taylor Stewart, and I live in Greensburg. I started interacting with the three of you privately, and people didn't realize why I was so frustrated by the time I got here. Doug can't look me in the eye, even now. So I've stomped my feet after that because you get frustrated. And now I don't have anything more to say at all to you, either one of you. The way that the arrogance and the behavior and the you know, people are elderly and confused, like, that's just not how you talk to your friends or neighbors. So I have two statements here. One is from Robert Arrett. I don't have anything else to say, so I'm going to share their stuff. Dear sirs, it is with much dismay that I write this comment. Much of the systems that we have been using in the past to help make our lives manageable are now in disrepair and non-existent. As a result, many people are joining in on open, public, peaceful protests. At one such protest, a friend of mine was injured at the No Kings protest on October 18th from noon to 2. Many people have asked our county commissioners to openly, publicly, and in writing condemn all forms of political violence in our communities. I ask you again to publicly and in writing condemn any actions that might cause a person to stop using their First Amendment rights to openly speak out against our governing bodies. I expect to see letters from each of you signed within 2 weeks in a public platform or media outlet. That's the first one. The second one is from Julie Hellman, and she said, I am unavailable to attend the October 30th meeting due to my work schedule, but appreciated if my comments were read publicly. I was fortunately able to attend the last meeting when Karen Prim, a small 7-year-old woman, spoke about the injuries that she sustained while she was peacefully protesting on October 18th. Ms. Prim had asked the commissioners if they would take an official public stance against political violence in our community, and I was absolutely dumbfounded when Sean Curtis and Doug Chu would not make that pledge. Well, they did condemn what happened to Mrs. Prim. They would not take a more broad public stance against political violence in our community in general. To me, that seems like a no-brainer that anyone, regardless of political affiliation, would want public officials in our communities to take a very strong stance against any type of violence, political or otherwise. We should have no tolerance stance against violence of any kind. We want our community to be a warm, safe, and inviting place. And that should be reflected from the top down. I would like to know why my two commissioners would not make a public pledge to keep our community safe from political violence. Please, Mr. Curtis and Mr. Chu, would you please respond and answer me that question? Why will you not sponsor a formal resolution to condemn political violence to help keep our community safe? That's your neighbors. They're pleading with you. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who would like to speak this morning?
My name is Greg Powers. I'm from Salem Township, and I did not write a speech today. I'm standing up because I feel it is necessary, and I've seen the bravery of my other friends and neighbors around here speaking up, so I just wanted to speak to all of you. I may have a little bit of a different opinion than some others that have been shared. I personally don't believe that it is enough, even if you were to sign this resolution that is before you today. I believe that would be the absolute bare minimum that could be expected of a public servant. These are your constituents, and a lot of people that aren't here today because you don't make these meetings accessible. I believe that you should actually do what is right for all of your constituents. You should be able to look these people in the eye today and say that you are not willing to condemn or denounce political violence. And in my opinion, even if you do pass that resolution today, that is not enough, because you will simply be doing so because how much you recognize that it is what is necessary right now. You should be standing up for what is right for all people that you represent. So in my opinion, that simply would not be enough, and we demand more, and we will continue to come back, and we are not going anywhere.
Is there anyone else for this morning?
My name is Kathleen Cerrone. I'm a retired educator. I did not have anything planned, but I wanted to come because I want to share a quick story. In 2006, I was at an after-school teachers meeting, and my principal stood up and said, "We no longer can afford to focus on our below basic students. I want all of you to highlight the names of those students in your grade books who are at basic so we can raise them to proficient." My chair slid out. I can still hear it. And she turned and looked at me and said, "Dr. Cerrone, I know what you're going to say." And I said, "Then let me say it. This is immoral. This is unethical. And I no longer can creatively maladjust." I sat down. I leaned into my husband, who was sitting next to me, and I said, "I'm out of here." He said, "You're full of shit." And I said, "I can't do this anymore." I regretted that. I loved my job. But I want to say something to the commissioners. If we want to do what's right for students, for people, for each other, we have to take some risks. And I don't know how I see my story relating to you today, but it does. I think it does. And all I can say is, I believe we learn from each other's stories. No one can condone violence. I couldn't condone only focusing on certain students. I believe you're the same person I am in that respect. So thank you for listening.
Just put it on the
Just
thing,
lay
on
it down.
the thing there. think we could probably run this meeting too.
Is there anyone else for this morning?
Oh my goodness. So sorry. I always say when I speak.
There being no further public
Madam
comment.
Solicitor, real quickly, I just would like to, so the Board of Commissioners, in lieu of you, Ms. Prim, I know you're Councilwoman Smith, and we've known each other as well as for your, and I want to say again, that we do, obviously, the boards collectively do support no violence at all from anyone for the political beliefs, Republican, Democrat, Independent, etc. It's your right, your freedom to be registered how you want, to speak your mind. The protests out there, that is your God-given constitutional right. We sat down as the board and came to an agreement on this, and we honored, obviously, your name in this proclamation, along with Charlie Kirk, who was assassinated for his political violence as well.
Sorry.
So you can feel all you want, but it's the truth.
I was surprised.
So,
I was just, that's
as well, but in the context of things, there's also things I brought to the
not a
commission.
Westmoreland
Go
County
this-
resident.
Dialogue. This is what's supposed to be. This was country's founding. So let me speak, please. I appreciate that.
Have a good time.
Thank you. So we are going to do this proclamation, but there is context out there that do things, words in your freedom of speech, but there is hidden meanings of how people perceive things. I wanted to put that out there, that just because someone puts something on a sign, others can perceive it another way. So I'm just making the public aware of that as well. Okay?
But that wasn't Karen,
I'm not saying.
and it wasn't any of us, so it's irrelevant.
No King's protest. I'm not.
Thank you for
Well,
doing
I
something.
just want to say that we, Commissioner Chu and I, obviously, once again, do not condone political violence of any form, any fashion, and any means necessary. We listen to the public, once again, as much as we possibly can, within reason, because everybody has their own opinions and their own rights. So,
Let him talk.
You can speak the word, but you cannot write the word. Is that what you're saying?
no, I'm not saying
You cannot
that.
pass a resolution.
I'm not saying, I'm saying that there is, the way people perceive something is always different. There's always a double entendre to a word. For example, like I said, 86 according to law enforcement. You can go upstairs and talk to the law enforcement. That has been used in the past
I
history.
understand that, I understand that.
That's free speech.
But
It
you're
is.
saying.
That's not attacking someone.
I'm not,
It's free speech to ask to have somebody removed, killed.
No, we're talking about
Where is the evidence, sir?
What
are you
You're willing
talking
to
about?
say that you're against political violence, but you're not willing to pass a resolution.
we are passing a resolution. I'm explaining
As-
other aspects of it.
As
Other
Ash
things.
pointed out, the resolution is on the agenda under Westmoreland County business where it should be. It's not at the end simply to be at the end. It's under Westmoreland County, and alphabetized W is the fourth last letter of the alphabet.
Thank you for that lesson. We didn't know that.
Yeah, okay, we're gonna get there then.
We're a little too elderly and confused these days.
My question is, I'm thankful that you finally decided to do the resolution. What I don't understand is why Charlie Kirk's name has to be within the body of the resolution. When we are talking about Westmoreland County and then broadly, political violence. So I don't know.
He was assassinated for his political beliefs.
But not out there.
Why does his name?
So is political violence okay outside of
My
Westmoreland
question
County?
is.
No, do you want
but
to?
everything else, do I ask you to go do something in Butler? Why would I ask you?
I would recommend that you remove anybody's name.
Yes, remove
Yeah, remove
Yes.
all names.
Yes.
No names on it.
Just make.
Against violence, period.
just follow. We condemn violence.
I think Karen should speak.
So remove all names and then that that satisfies.
Remove all names. Remove all
Thank you
names.
for your opinion, we're gonna move along. I just wanted to
Well, my
speak.
question wasn't answered.
Well, it's not a debate.
Pardon me?
It's not a debate.
No, I wasn't trying to debate, I'm asking a question.
If I may, because I think I'm the only one who really hasn't spoken yet. I would have liked to have been included in the statement that Sean just made, my friend Sean, about obviously standing with them against all forms of political violence.
Yeah.
The original draft did not include specific references to Ms. Prim or to anyone else for that matter. It's my personal belief that we should focus our official actions on things that are pertinent and germane to Westmoreland County.
Amen.
Amen, Ted.
Look, let me be clear on this, folks. You shouldn't throw out the good in search of the great sometimes. And things might not actually be worded the way I want them to be, or the way you specifically might want them worded. However, at the end of the day, we are sending a unified, bipartisan statement that political violence of any kind is not tolerated, and it sends a statement about who we want to be as Westmoreland Countyans. And so while the language may not be to everyone's liking, including some things in there they might not like 100% either, in this moment I think it's very important that we stand together and pass something for the good people of this county.
I agree. Thank you. Thank you for talking to your constituents, Ted.
And I'll say publicly in response to Commissioner Kovas that we appreciate his bipartisan look at the resolution for the last several days to arrive at something that the three of us can really support and be behind. Thank you, Ted.
You're welcome. Let me say one last thing. Look, I said in the newspaper the other day, I'm proud we're the only functioning level of government that's working right now. And in this very simple act, that admittedly may have been a little harder than I thought it was going to be about passing this resolution, we're showing y'all, despite what side you might be on, that this can work.
Yeah.
That, we're not we shouldn't beat each other's throats constantly, that we shouldn't dig in so hard on a position when you can find common ground. So in addition to passing what I think is an important resolution, I think we're sending a message how government can and should work.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. At this, we're going to move on to the agenda for this morning. Consider for approval the years of service and the proclamation set forth on pages 1 and 2 of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor?